You are sitting here, ladies and gentlemen, with two people who have been objectively speaking successful on YouTube in their own categories and in their own rights. Fellow over there has a channel that to this day has 103,000 subscribers, I believe, even now.
Didn't say it because it used to be higher.
Yeah. Well, and
yeah, no, it's remarkable that it still has over 100,000. I don't think it's going to last very long, but yeah.
and then on this side of the table, you're looking at a fellow who used to have over 8,000 subscribers, now down to 7,000 and something, and it's the lower end of 7,000. But more so, I'm literally sitting in the house that y'all built because I had stopped working as anything other than an entertainer and a, influencer. No, as a YouTuber and a Twitch live streamer when I bought my house, which means that your donations and your support and the content that I was making that you guys liked, that bought this house. So objectively speaking, success, and not so much anymore.
I want to I want to talk about that actually. That's really interesting to me right now. What I feel has defined my character arc as a YouTube persona, if we were to talk about it like that, is in part, in quite a large part, reevaluating what success means and like how you measure success. Because right from the very start, even now, at a time when YouTube is like less about subscribers than it ever has been, subscribers are the number one metric of size and success. And size and success are kind of two different things. But even of size, like subscriber count is the most visible metric, and yet it's also like one of the worst ways you can measure how well someone is doing on YouTube. I mean, I have 107,000 subscribers, but I'm not getting 107,000 views on each video. I mean, yeah, I
Yeah,
feel if
generally
anything like
speaking, my experience has been just watching other YouTubers as well, other successful YouTubers, big names, the big people. Like, if you can get 10% of your audience to show up to your videos, 10% of your subscribed audience, you are doing incredibly well. Like, that is,
yeah,
you are
yeah.
hitting as hard as you're probably going to hit, except for when you go viral with something. But the average, if you can pull in about 10%, you're killing it. Which means, if you do have that's the pressure that we put ourselves under as YouTubers and entertainers and trying to keep up with the system is, I got 1,000 subscribers, and you think, I got 1,000 people watching me. If you can get 100 people to tune in of your 1,000, you are doing as well as Markiplier, PewDiePie, Game Grumps. Like, you're doing as well as the big guys. Uh,
In terms of that ratio, yeah. But
yeah.
the the big thing is well, for me at least, for the character arc I mentioned, is learning not to view that as like in any way tied to your self-worth, like how good you feel about yourself, because that's a dark path that I've been down. Don't do that.
Hmm.
We'll go more into depth on that. But also be just you can measure success by any number of means you like, and you should choose one which is more suited to the style of the kind of videos you want to make and stuff. Like if you're making kind of more conversational, intelligent kind of discussion stuff, then like Stormhawk was saying in the chat, the watch time is maybe a better metric. How engaged are people? Like your total impact, you can choose that to be what you view as a success metric, or you can choose just of the people who find the video, how many of them do you keep and really reel them in with what you're doing. In many ways, that's just a better kind of metric of quality than anything in a system where quality doesn't really matter. Yeah.
Yeah, you'd actually think that with all of the fanciness of the YouTube algorithm and everything that it's doing in the background, to the point where the people who developed it have no idea what it's doing, that they would have built in a part of it that seeks out quality based on watch time, based on, wow, okay, so this person, like, these channels don't get a lot of views, they don't have a lot of, but Jesus, the people who watch, they watch. You'd think that they'd be working with that at some level.
No, you wouldn't think that. You would think
No,
that
you
if their
wouldn't.
goal
Not about
was to,
YouTube. No.
yeah, you'd think that if their goal was to improve the quality of YouTube and not just to make advertising revenue. Yeah, which is the another big kind of revenue generation is another one of those metrics that you can judge your self-worth and the success of your channel by. And it's nonsense. It's a horrible idea. I started doing YouTube seriously, actually started when I was maybe 12 years old. 12 or 13. Young age, like young developmental years. And I didn't start with the whole HSC gaming stuff to begin with Kerbal Space Program. My actual start was I did some vlogging. I did like some live. Hey, thanks for the follow. I did some live vlogging stuff, which no one ever watched because I was a 12-year-old talking about the beanie that I got for Christmas, you know. And then when I realized that I was terrible at that, I started doing. I was playing a lot of RuneScape at the time,
Ooh.
and I would create essentially machinimas. If you remember those, like all those machinimas that I guess Machinima made, where I created this story and kind of voice acted different characters and tried to cut together this narrative. It was horrible, terrible shit made by a 13-year-old, but it was like creative, fulfilling stuff. Never really caught any traction. I think I got a couple of hundred views at most. And then it all kind of died down. And then I started, oh, thanks again for the follow. And then I started HSC Gaming, originally with Minecraft, and then Kerbal Space Program.
See, now on my list of things to ask you about is what was your first big video in your own mind? What is the first, like, takeoff moment? I got views, people are watching. Holy crap.
Yeah. In my own mind, I don't know how well this correlates with reality. It was the
reality is
artificial gravity
overrated.
ring thing that I made. That was the first. I think that was the first one of mine that anyone. What am I trying to say? First one to hit like over 100,000 or over 200,000 or something arbitrarily significant like that. Most people seem to put down the Moonbase stuff as like their first contact. I think that was your first contact with me, certainly.
Yeah,
Or
I
at least what you
mean,
remember.
it's all a mishmash hodgepodge, trying to remember those days. So I might have come in on that video and then found, went to the Moonbase, but the Moonbase was what like locked me in, because I just really liked what you were doing. Just all around,
Yeah.
interacting with a community by accepting their craft and then figuring out ways to put it there and building something large and
Which is, it's
permanent.
kind of, it's weird because to me, at the time, the community accepting craft and doing stuff like that was, I think, entirely motivated by, oh god, I don't know what to do in this fucking game anymore. Just have other people make content for me, you know?
Yeah,
I
as
think
it's,
honestly that's where a lot of that came from,
yeah,
especially in the later
later
days.
on, just looking back at it, I assumed that it had something to do with that, with like one, that you can get people to continue tuning in when they're possibly the ones who submitted this stuff. But
Yeah,
as
it's
I
like
aged in
engaging.
my YouTube awareness and just entertainer awareness, yeah, I was like aware of he probably doesn't look back on that and think those were the halcyon days. But for me, that's where I found. And also, my cats are just tearing up my freaking green screen right now. I apparently
Oh,
haven't
I
fed
can't
them
see it
enough.
on the.
No, I've made
I
them
can't see the
invisible.
effect. Yes. So,
Pawn's first
oh, nice,
contact with
Kenneth.
Harv was
Yeah,
stalking on the dark
nice.
side. You can hear him,
Yeah, I
surely.
kind of,
Jesus.
yeah, I want to run through kind of my history on YouTube just quickly. I was talking about this on a live stream recently, that
Hey.
all of this is like years and years and years ago now. Hey, thanks for the follow, Alpha Epic. It's many years ago. Also, I hate that the stream delay is just enough to make me look like an idiot. that I'm like several seconds behind the follow every single time.
I designed it
Uh,
specifically to make you look like an idiot.
yes, it's all
It's the
your
only way that I
evil
ever look smart in
machinations.
front of anyone else is yeah, I set it up way ahead of time, just so that everyone will look stupider, and then I'll know what we're talking
Yeah.
about.
So yeah, things really took off for HSC
Holy
gaming.
shit! All right, the cats have legitimately destroyed the green screen. All
Oh
right,
my
no,
god! All right, I
carry
saw
on,
that one.
carry on.
Uh, things really took off for HSC gaming at like 14 years old, so still pretty young. Kerbal Space Program, more and more people tuning in. Um, that I think 2015, I seem to remember. So how old was I? 20. What is it now? 2019? No, it can't have been 20. It must have been 2014. So 5 years ago. So yeah, I was maths 16 years old. Oh, okay, I thought I
16
was younger. 16.
bastard.
16 years old was the golden year where one of the things in Porn's talkie notes for this episode is what was the month in which you made the most ka-ching. And yeah, it was during that year. There was one month I think I made like certainly over $1,000 in one month, which for a 16-year-old
Yeah,
just in his bedroom making videos, like that's success. That's like
for
that's enough
anyone.
that I could have made it a part-time job or a full-time job, you know.
Mm.
And those were the thoughts that I was having. I was really riding that what I perceived to be a wave and not a bubble. Yeah, I was just riding it all the way to the top, man. And I thought this is what I was going to be, the narrator with the cool voice, making YouTube videos, working from home, living that YouTube life.
What 12-year-old
And
Harv always wanted.
yeah, what I always aspired to be. Uh, then I got bored of KSP. Basically, my creativity ran out. It was like the various pressures, which I mean, it's kind of generic. I don't. There's no need to go too much into it, but stress that I wasn't being original enough was the crux. I felt like my production value was getting higher, but it had to keep getting higher. So I was recording for longer and longer and longer to make fewer and shorter videos. Like spending 24 hours live streaming, trying to record stuff to make a 20-minute KSP video. And just all that. I just was burning out incredibly fast.
Mm.
So I kind of finished that burnout process. I started a whole load of YouTube series. Like there was the last project, um, to every planet and back. I think another KSP test pilot thing came back for a
What
while.
was that?
Later on, started a career mode. No,
What was the Minecraft but in space star something too? Because I played that.
StarMade. All right, that was
StarMade.
good. StarMade
Yeah.
was just fun. Yeah.
Mm.
But no, my point is with those series that I started a whole load and didn't finish them. Like I just got bored because it was so much work that I wasn't enjoying, and that made me really insecure about I don't have the capacity to finish anything that I start. Like I just felt like I was betraying people. And yeah, it just grew too much. It became too intertwined with like my idea of how good of a person and how valuable I was.
Yeah.
And then just something snapped and I decided like I can't do this anymore. I don't want to be playing KSP. Hey, I'm like a super talented voice person. I should be able to make any game and people will watch it, right? Because people love me. And so tried to make other games and like didn't enjoy it as much and didn't nearly get as many views on it, obviously.
Mm.
And that was crushing, really crushing. But I just couldn't go back to doing KSP. I didn't have any ideas that I thought were worth the time to make the videos. And I just didn't want to feel like a hypocrite. And just, yeah, a whole load of really, I mean, this is an interesting talk to have after last week's podcast about you are not who you have been in the past. You can choose your identity like pretty much in the present moment. You don't need to be tied down. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So it's funny that we're now talking about how like tied down I was by my own preconceptions of what my channel was supposed to be and who I was as a person and whatnot. And yeah, as you mentioned, StarMade and Kidabob has also mentioned Space Engineers. Peppered throughout all of this were some multiplayer series with other YouTubers, like Enter Elysium, Goldfish, The Solar Gamer. And those ones were like the most enjoyable things I did at the time. But never really caught on. At least I perceived it to be that way, that I just felt like people didn't enjoy it as much or people weren't interested. And
Yeah,
so those
well,
series
and
were
at
fun to
that
make,
point,
but I
you know,
didn't.
you had
Yeah.
made videos that had hundreds of thousands of views on them and were tens of
Yeah.
thousands. So if you did a video and like you only got 2 or 3,000, that might have been like, oh God, this is death, you know. And
Yeah.
meanwhile,
That was the case.
99%
Yeah.
of people trying at YouTube would look at 3,000 views and go, oh, I made it.
Yeah. It's so. I remember really clearly hitting 100 subscribers. I don't really remember hitting 100,000, which is kind of weird, but hitting 100 was like one of the most meaningful experiences. I was on holiday with some family friends at the time, and I was like, hey, I've got 100 subscribers on YouTube. And then they would ask me, oh, what do you do? Oh, I make videos about this game called KSP, and it's really awesome, and it's so fun. And like, man, your expectations change over time, and that's one of the worst things. And that's really this tail end of this character arc for me, because after burning out, starting other series, Planet Base, Stormhawk just mentioned Planet Base. Like I was saying about starting series and not finishing them, even for the ones which weren't KSP, I got like 12 episodes into Planet Base and just stopped because it wasn't getting as many views. And so I was, what's the point, you know? So eventually just completely wound it down. Went to university, grew a bit as a person beyond just school and YouTube, and like gained some other kind of developed my other interests and whatnot. And yeah, that was basically that.
I feel like it's almost
Intertwined.
impossible to like become successful on YouTube or just in an entertainment profession without, and I know that this isn't true, but it just feels right to me, without first failing, just falling flat on your face. Like to, for me, similar experience, people start watching, people start showing up, I'm getting support, and it's very much like you have to have that experience of everyone suddenly shows up, you're really excited, and you feel a massive amount of pressure to try and be what you imagine they showed up for, what it was that they liked before, and then you try to become that, and then in the process of trying to become that and trying to be more that, you move away from like what you were enjoying and what was like and what they were picking up on. You know, you're watching the video and the person is genuinely enjoying what they're doing, and that's there alongside whatever else might be there.
That's the craziest. That's one of the craziest things about the whole situation, is that it's so hard for you to know what is the actual interesting and like good stuff about your own content. Like when I asked you this question about what you enjoyed about me, your answer was, well, it was the mojo. It was like the fact that you clearly knew what you were talking about with the delta V and the orbits, but you weren't trying to do a lecture. I was just making the videos and talking about whatever I was doing at the time. And that, like, I didn't think that was my appeal. I don't know what I thought at the time, to be honest, but it wasn't that. And I feel now like if I had realized that, or at least something closer to that, then maybe I would have been chasing things in a direction which is more about pursuing what I felt I could talk about, like with that kind of mojo. And it would have been closer to my interests and closer to my engagement and would have stayed being engaging. But no, we just kind of find those obvious correlations, like KSP, and that's what people like, and kind of just beat ourselves up when that stops working. And Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
it's a hard life being a entertainer, YouTuber, live streamer, whatever you're gonna call it. Just generally an entertainer. You know, you put yourself in that category if you're gonna try and do this. Don't think of yourself as a YouTuber or a live streamer. You're an entertainer. You're I guess probably the best thing that you'll ever hear back is I had a hard day, I've had a hard week, I've had a hard month, and I tune into your stuff and I just forget about it. And that's probably the best compliment that you'll ever get.
yeah,
Uh,
definitely.
that tells you that you're doing something right. Um, and that for me is hard because I also have this like desire to impact people in a way that's like we got a lot of problems in this world, especially on my side of the globe, and especially just in my neighborhood right now. And I want to talk to you about some serious shit, and I want to like. Let's discuss capitalism and socialism and fucking corporatism and government and politics and Trump and Brexit and everything. I just want to like beat people over the head. I want to talk about that. But the comments that you get that tell you you're actually doing something good as an entertainer, as someone who's there to lighten a person's load, are always that hey, the world sucks. I live in the world. I come home, I turn you on, the world sucks less. And so there's this really hard balance for me personally is what I like to do to try and find the place where it's like I'm talking about it, but I'm making it lighter. I'm for me, just the process of talking about it makes it lighter because it feels like it's just not being said. The conversations aren't being had, so I get to talk about it, and I feel like at least someone's talking about it, even if it just has to be me. And I'm hoping that the people who are listening to when I do go off on my, political rants or something, are also getting a weight, lifted because it's like, finally someone's speaking the perspective that is so rarely heard. But it's a difficult thing to deal with. It's a hard line to walk. Because the
Mm.
closer you get to like what's going on in the real world, the further you draw from being the salvation in the storm, being the
The
eye of the
escapism.
hurricane. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like it's just hard to resolve because it's like, yes, that's what I want. That is, in fact, when I first started, I used to say all the time, that's what I want to be. I want to remind people that everything in life that you think is so serious is not. That it's just you believing that it's really, really serious. And the truth is, like, the stuff on the news and the stuff, that they're beaming into your house over the internet and marketing and advertising to you and putting in the Google ad links is there, but it's so much less real than just walking out your door and seeing somebody walking down the street and going, "Hey, how's it going? Good day, right? Yeah, we haven't had weather like this in a while." Like that little interpersonal connection. So many days I have felt like horrible. Walked outside, somebody's walking in front of my house, and I just wave to him, say hi, and it just changes my whole day because this
I
is
feel
real
that.
life. This
Yeah.
is real life, and what you get over the media is sensationalist drama. And it's not that
Mm.
it's not happening, it's not that there aren't bad things out there, but they are trying to make the bad things out there as bad as they possibly fucking can be because that's what keeps you, tuned in. And they give more time to it and stuff. So, yeah, it's a hard balance to draw. Do I like be the relief or do I talk about it? And I guess for me, I'm trying to find a place in the middle where I can like relieve you by talking about it because it's so fucking ridiculous. Let's make some humor out of it.
Yeah. I really feel what you said about, you can be having a bad day and then you kind of have a personal just interaction with someone and like that just kind of starts everything being better. And it's really difficult to get that as like get a digital surrogate of that. I've had some really funny videos which have had that, but generally I find watching a video has a very brief kind of effect in that way, like a few minutes. And it has to be a really good video even for that sometimes. But there are days when I'll go into work now, and if I'm already in a bit of a bad or just tired kind of mood, and if I don't talk to anyone, I'll just feel really crap. But if I can just like, just, hey, how was your night? Do you do anything interesting over the weekend? Like, just something, it doesn't have to be meaningful in its content, but it's meaningful in the fact that like you interact with someone and had that, you know,
Well, and it's nice to
engagement.
just, yeah, turn it out of your own head, because if it is a bad
Yeah.
day, then it's because you're in your own head. You're worried about this, you're thinking about this, you're thinking about that. When you know, engage someone else and be like, what's going on in your life? And then, and this
Mm.
is crucial, don't follow it up with, this is what's going on in my life and it
My life,
sucks.
yeah.
Yeah. If you just
Oh
engage
well, it's nice
someone
that
else,
you're having a good day. Well, my life fucking sucks.
yeah, genuinely and openly, and actually like just let yourself fall into their story, you know.
Mm.
When Mr. Rogers, Fred Rogers, was it, Mr. Rogers died,
Yeah.
everybody said about like their stories about him where he was just the sweetest man, because he would sit there and he'd ask you about your life, and then he would just listen to you for 20 minutes. He'd just listen to you, and people were like, oh, he was the sweetest person in the world. And it's like, yeah, you know what Fred Rogers was getting out of that? He was like totally invested in your story. And it was like, I
Mm.
don't have a me to worry about. I don't have a career in entertainment. I don't have a worry that I'm leading children for, because right now in this moment, I'm 20 minutes into, you went to the grocery store and there was this cute guy, and there was, and it's like, this is where I am now. Life is fine,
Yeah.
you know? There's no sexism in the White House. There's no, you know, it's not happening, because right now I'm right here with you, and this is absolutely real.
Yeah. Yeah. I
So,
get those feelings, and it kind of all ties back into what I wanted to get around with like the character arc bollocks I was going on. Um, so I've just seen that in chat. That's pretty cool. Uh,
oh yeah,
yeah,
that is
that's cool.
cool.
Um,
Thank you for the follow, by the way, Mount Pine, if that's how
yeah,
it's said.
tying back around to self-worth and valuing things based off of numbers and metrics. There was this TED talk by famous actor Joseph Gordon-Levitt. I think that's his name. I'm not. I don't care.
Levitt is
He was giving a
familiar.
TED talk, and it was about how craving attention reduces your creativity from his perspective.
Mm.
And yeah, one of the really powerful things he said, which wasn't even intended to be powerful, but it just kind of hit me, was yeah, like I have 4 million followers on Twitter, but that's never made me happy. And like there are people who are way bigger than me who I'm really jealous of, and I wish that I could have 5 million like they do. But when I reach 5 million, I don't go, oh yeah, oh man,
Yeah, the
I'm
goalpost
happy
just
now.
immediately moves.
You never. That's why like the 100 thing was more meaningful than the 100,000. You never reach that, and so that should be like the first sign that there's no. Oh, I'm chopping off my hand every time I do that. That should be the first sign that that there's no point chasing metrics because you're never gonna reach a kind of. You don't reach a state of like, this is good. I'm satisfied with this. When you the most like kind of satisfaction you get out of being an entertainer, being a creative, is when you stop asking people, like craving the attention of other people and the numbers. It's when you ultimately pay your attention to what it is that you're working on, to your craft, whatever it is, and really focus and just single-mindedly, like getting lost in listening to someone's story and focusing on that and being invested in it,
Hmm.
being invested in your craft and producing something that's just like that represents what it should and just is just great, you know.
Well, and
And
here's a
it's
thought
not
that
the
I've had
way.
recently too, is that if you get lucky enough to find that success, quote unquote,
Mm.
you know, if YouTube shows up, if the live stream shows up, if your audience, if the clients out there start buying it, you better damn well hope that you're doing something you enjoy when they do. Because you can spend your
Yeah,
life doing things that you think people will like and that you think will bring them in, and eventually maybe you'll hit on one, and then you're going to have to do that from now on, right? So you can either spend your life trying to meet the demands of the marketplace and trying to imagine what you think the marketplace's demands are, and then if they do show up, you will be locked into a life of misery where you
Yeah.
continuously
What's
have to
the
do the
point?
same thing
Why
that you don't
why
care about.
chase that? Why chase that when it's just going to bring you misery in the long run? Like, we shouldn't be glorifying the metrics and the having the numbers and stuff. It should be just like, hey, this guy has 100 subscribers, but he spends all this effort on making those videos just perfect. And God, aren't they just such like a beautiful reflection of him and who he is and like the kind of interests he has? And I'm taking this in a very kind of artisan, like craftsman kind of way, but it's not. It doesn't have to be that you spend 1,000,000 hours perfecting a video. It can just be that you're doing that thing that you like love doing.
Yeah, what is it too? The idea of a genius. I loved this when I heard the idea of a genius. You know, people say somebody has a genius for something. Oh, he's a, or people will say that, you know, this person is a genius in that field. And what I learned was that the term genius for the longest time meant something more like a fairy pixel, or no, not pixel, a fairy pixie. Like
Pixie, yeah.
it's its own thing. Like the genius exists and it embodies you. And we kind of took that and bastardized its intended usage and turned it into an individual has a genius, when the truth is that like the genius has you. The genius comes to you and you indulge the genius and the genius indulges you, and there's this give and take in that relationship, as opposed to this I own the genius, oh he's such a genius. And I feel like that's such a healthier viewpoint to have on your own work, that like when things come together right and they work really well, it's not because I'm amazing and I did all of this work, but
Yeah.
because you tapped into something that is pure and that is greater than self, and that you kind of almost have to get yourself out of the way to
Yeah.
deeply tap into.
I really have been feeling that way more and more. So since having my kind of 2 year, 2.5 year university break pretty much entirely from YouTube, and I'm now kind of coming back gradually ramping. I mean, I say gradually, I'm now full pelt on Half and Porn every week, but before starting Half and Porn, it was like I kind of poked here and there to see whether the creativity would flow in those directions, to see whether I would enjoy it, to kind of test the waters with the viewers and whatnot. And I think it becomes so much more sustainable, but also just easier in some ways to do what you love and to follow the creative spurts when you have them, if you view it as being like, I have found this genius thing and I'm just going to do it justice because it's not about me, it's about this thing. And I just want to like truly reflect that rather than being like, well, I'm a great talent and I will make the best video. It's just not fulfilling. It doesn't fulfill you to try and, yes, the worth of this is the worth of me. It doesn't work like that. So you have to. So I'm trying to give general advice. I'm not I'm not in a position to, other than I've been through this Dunning-Kruger-esque roller coaster of self-worth.
There's a reference I don't get.
A Dunning-Kruger graph is the relationship between how much you think you know about a subject versus how much you actually know about a subject. And so it goes,
I like that.
how I flipped. I think I'm flipped this way, right? I don't know. But it's like, rather than the linear expectation of you think you know exactly how much you know, instead it goes, oh no, I'm good this way, it's fine. Instead it goes like, as soon as you learn a little bit, you think you know loads. And then as soon as you learn a bit more, you realize how little you know. And then it takes a long time to kind of come out of that pit of despair. So I've been down this valley of despair in terms of feeling like I have things figured out on YouTube.
In the pit of the valley of Lennon Kruger, is that right?
Lennon Kruger?
I don't know. Is that what I heard?
Hey, I'm running low on coffee here. Can we roll a segment?
Oh man, I just want to keep
Bastard.
talking though, Houston. God damn it, let me talk.
We can
Yes,
absolutely keep
maybe we
talking on
should.
these topics, but before we do, we've got a clip for you. There was some question earlier by Cha Tucker and by a number of other people as to the title that referenced the idea of Kerbal Polar
Oh god, yeah.
Expedition 4. Not Virtual Polar Expedition, but Kerbal Polar
Mm.
Expedition 4. Is that a thing? Could it happen? Would it happen? Might it happen? Let's go to our man in the field, Harvey. Harvey, do you hear me? Wanted to say thank you to Germasian, who cheered 200 earlier and said the entertainment business is very tough to have to keep finding more and more things to do so you don't become stagnant.
Hmm.
Which is
Well,
there's a truth to
yeah,
that. Trying to find the just keep it going. Where do you go next? I mean, with KSP, we both found our YouTube success, the big quotes around it, and they're not quotes because we both found YouTube success through Kerbal Space Program. And at a certain point, you do just butt up your head against, God, haven't I done all of this now? Like, what else is there to do?
mm,
Or I've been here
yeah,
before. My big video was, and this isn't my big video like in my head, but I know just metrically. My big video was when I made a helicarrier. I made the Shield helicarrier in Kerbal Space
yeah. I
Program.
actually watched that again recently. I can't remember
Yeah, me
why, but yeah, I
too.
saw that.
Within the past
Mm.
month or two, I suppose. And yeah, it's interesting to go back and watch myself in those days because I was so wound up to try and keep the audience. Like I was always wound up
Mm.
in the first place, especially in those days. I had my two big inspirations for actually getting involved in YouTube. Harv knows is Harvey and Dan Hardcastle of Nerd Cubed. And you can kind of see that sort of blend in everything that I did in my early days of Kerbal Space Program, of like watching Harvey like let me know actually how things worked and what I was doing, and also inspired some of the
Mojo.
ideas. Yeah, the mojo and some of the ideas about like how like what content to make in Space Program, because I remember like really loving the idea of and the videos of, but just that premise was so brilliant. The space tourism was such like a brilliant
That
thing
was
to do.
another series that I
Yeah,
started and then never finished.
yeah.
But yeah,
But I
yeah.
mean, you got all the way out to friggin' the one that's like Kerbin. What?
Lathe? Lathe.
Lathe?
Yeah.
Yeah, Lathe. I mean, it was a really fun idea that had a lot of like room to grow and stuff, and I was like, yeah, that's the kind of thing I want to be doing, and
Yeah.
I found my own
There was so much
way.
more I could do with that as well. The point about like the kind of well drying up and stagnating and like, oh, well, I've kind of done it all. Where do I go from here? I feel like what I was saying earlier in the chat actually. So the VOD, you guys on YouTube won't necessarily have seen this.
Suckers.
I was, yeah, you better watch the stream live, mother. So the whole thing I mentioned about originality basically summed up quickly. How you define originality varies. You could define it as like, hey, anything I make is original because it's me making it and I'm a different person to everyone else. Or you could define it as everyone's already made YouTube videos. Making a YouTube video isn't original, man. Like it's so variable. And as a result, my view on originality is that originality is something an idea takes on over time as you develop it. It's not you have an upfront idea. I mean, you can have an upfront original idea. It's just really rare, really difficult to have
It's
something which,
really rare to like come up with the idea of we'll
yeah,
do like a multi-camera live stream weekly with clips and stuff, and it'll be like late night talk television or something, and we'll put it on Twitch. And I mean, I don't think I've ever seen that before. I mean, some they've done multi-camera, but they've never done like do clip show kind of thing. It's really
they
rare.
haven't, have they?
I
I mean,
Not
I
that I
don't think
know of.
anyone actually has. Yeah, yeah. But
Sometimes
that
that happens, but
idea,
that's rare. It's
but that idea didn't happen straight up, right? We just, hey, I want to make a show on Twitch.
rare. It's
And then
true.
we developed it over time with what we wanted it to be and kind of hit things against the back and forth. And then it developed its originality over time.
Mm.
And so, yeah, if you don't do something because you think it's not original before you even try or even like develop that idea further and give it some room to grow into something. You're cutting away 90% of your content. And that's how I feel really, that's what I feel really killed KSP for me. It was mostly the mental block of trying to be unique. But now, you mentioned space tourism. Now I'm kind of back into the flow and I'm not letting that block cut off 90% of my content. I'm like, fuck, I have so many ways that could have been so much more interesting. Like, what about setting up the supply chain of the tourism side? Like, doing having the accommodation in orbit and the kind of more marketing and advertising and like making a proper kind of hotel with like an asteroid and like there's so
Yeah.
many cool ideas you could do.
Oh my
And
God, yeah, you could friggin' deorbit an asteroid, or not deorbit it, but like
yeah,
put orbit or
put
an
it in
asteroid
orbit,
into
yeah.
orbit around something, and then build your own hotel on it and stuff. There's
Which I
so
really
much
hope
legs to
is
that idea.
I really hope that's really well supported in KSP too.
Yeah, I've actually too
Mm.
I've been on the verge here and there myself of just starting to do KSP content again, or at least like open the game and play and stuff. Just like I'm sitting here going,
Mm.
friggin', I've mentioned them on these live streams. I have friggin' dreams about about doing KSP stuff where my mind thinks that I'm on the moon, and then it's like you must be in Kerbal Space Program, and suddenly I'm playing Kerbal Space Program. I've been very much on the verge of going back to that. I mean, it's been so long that it feels like that would be fun to do again.
Yeah, me too. I have the exact same feeling about it. And there's a part of me which goes, "You hypocrite, Harvey! You said you were done with KSP!" And then the other
You
part of me goes,
bastard.
"Hey, my philosophy now is that I'm just making videos on what I'm enjoying and what I'm interested in making videos on. So I should be doing that if it's what I want to do." And I feel like it maybe is now. And B, fuck you, voice in my head, fuck off. And C, what was my point? I had another point that was really
I,
important.
fuck you was good. I liked fuck you.
God damn it, it's gone. It was hypocrite. Who am I being a hypocrite to exactly? Like I haven't made KSP videos now in 3 years, properly in 4 years. Like those people don't give a shit anymore whether I do it. Like most of them would be happy to see me doing it again because that's the reason they're subscribed to my YouTube channel. Like I shouldn't care about A, what they think of me at all, but more importantly, them caring that I went back to doing KSP. Like they're not gonna.
Well,
So
and as we
yeah.
learned in last week's weed fueled live stream, you know, if
Go
you're
watch it if you haven't already.
being a hypocrite to your past self, that guy never existed and has been dead for a
Yeah,
billion times
yeah,
over by now.
exactly. So it's only the present you should be concerned about, and the present you can be whatever you want you to be. So yeah, uh, I'm kind of tying up the KP4 clip you watched. So that's a thing I want to do, and I always intended for the charity live streams to be annual, but it just stopped, and it was all interrelated with everything else. But yeah, trying to get those YouTubers back from the old ones, trying to get YouTubers who were never on it. Like, I think Scott Manley did come on very briefly. I would love to get more interaction with Scott because he's just such a cool guy. He's so, like, you could just sit there and listen to his knowledge and just absorb it as much as possible and never be satisfied. That man has so much to give, and hopefully he'll give us some of his time because I understand he's a very busy guy. But it'd be awesome to get him. It'd be awesome to get some of the YouTubers who are like more. They've replaced us now. Also,
Hello, RMAJ.
RMAJ.
Welcome.
What? Welcome to the stream. Hope that was yeah, a joke.
RMAJ. Um,
Great comedic timing. Yeah,
yes,
getting some of the
brilliant.
KSP
Thank you
YouTubers
for
who are
that.
more now in the scene.
Yeah, it's a
Like I
whole
mentioned,
new crew. Back in our
yeah,
days, Kerbal Media Group, where representative of the Kerbal Space Program, different in our different eras too, because I came in much later than you were. So the person at the helm of that sort of went around and gathered together the Kerbal Space Program players that they thought were fun and, showing off the game in ways that they liked, and I think possibly with me, just that they liked. Like the individual who was running the media group kind of liked what I was doing. I mean, it was silly, it was fun, it was bargain rockets. I was making rocket ships out of trash cans and fire hoses and things with that mod.
The
But yeah,
barn. Bring back the.
bring back the barn. But yeah, it's a whole new, group now. Like pretty much everybody. Enter Elysium has gone off and done whatever he's doing. Ryan the Solar Gamer is off doing what he's doing. Goldfish, we did Minecraft is Too Easy, the Might Migos together for a while there, and then I was really rude to him in an interpersonal chat about being late to a thing, and I feel like it was for like his own good because he had very much like you, Harv. That's the thing, is like when you're talking about you know you had to like go away from it, and there's a whole bunch of things that had to do with that, and Kerbal Polar Expedition or Virtual Polar Expedition didn't happen on a yearly basis. Like that's because you had to go out and live life, and you were out getting an education, and you were like just growing as a human being. And the Goldfish was in the same process. Like he was at university and stuff, and me, I'd become a full-time YouTuber here, so I'm sitting at home going, all right, we got an appointment to start now. Let's start now. And so
Yeah.
like when we were gonna get back together and do like an extra recording of that, and he was late, I kind of took it as an opportunity to like punch him in the shoulder a bit and say, what I actually said was, if you're gonna be late to the first one, then what does that mean? But the point of it was to see if it was just a one-off kind of experience where it's like, no, I really wanted to be here, but I couldn't because, things went sideways. Or if he was going to use that, my punching him in the shoulder, as a way to say, you know what, you're kind of right. And that's the kind of thing that you want to do for people who you care about. Set them up, give them an out, because they need to have the opportunity to step away and say, you know what, this isn't what I need to be doing right now. I know this is what I committed to doing, that kind of thing, but like if you care about someone, give them the space to recognize in themselves that I need space for me right now. And that's kind of what I was feeling there. So
But what?
I
But
operate
what
on
was
a
the?
very advanced level because of the Zen,
You.
and I will intentionally fuck with people in order to see if I can get them to like the place that they really mean to be. And sometimes it just
But
completely backfires because I'm not good at it.
how did that go down? Was he okay with what you said? Like, did he?
Yeah,
How
yeah,
how
no,
did
I
that end
mean,
go?
it went down exactly the way that it would go down between like two evolved people, because I've done this before with someone who's not an evolved person and it doesn't work out well. But with, yeah, with Goldfish, like, I yelled at him about being late and said all the things, and he was like, well, and we yelled a little bit back and forth, which is what you're gonna do if you start yelling. And then, like, within 5 minutes of the conversation, it was like, yeah, I think that's what we need to do, is just not do this right now because it's not the right time for it. It's very, do not
Wow.
practice this at home, kids. Do not try
But
this. I
did
3 years
he?
in a Zen
But you were
center.
good. You were good though, right? Like you two are good now.
Oh yeah, absolutely,
Yeah. All right.
absolutely. I mean, I still like Goldfish is like one of my favorite people from the media group at this
Yeah.
point. Like I wouldn't want to say he's my favorite because you're in the room. No, but
It's
you and
okay. I
he.
won't get offended. I mean, Goldfish. I hold him to a similar plateau of
He's
nostalgic
just so
fondness.
fucking sweet
He's
is the thing. He's just he's honey in your mouth. He's just a sweet fucking guy, and he's so nice. And that's like jumping up and down on his shoulders like I did. I knew it would fall out right because he's a good
Goldfish.
person.
If someone clips this bit and sends it to you, we love you, man. Come back.
Come back,
Like
join
I want
us.
you for KPE4.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We need to get in touch with him. We should message him. I think yeah, that would be great. That's kind of my job now is for the KPE4 thing is deciding on charity support. I want to open that to discussion somewhat, but I also just want to make sure that I'm really personally on board with the choice of charity. Because honestly, the charity water choice, which we gave so much money to that cause, it was a bit arbitrary. I was like, it was Total Biscuit had supported it, and he was still alive at the time. So it wasn't anything like we should carry on what he did. No, it was just that, hey, this is a YouTuber I really like. I want to do what he does, and
I
that
I
was
had no
literally most of
idea.
the thought process.
Total Biscuit
Yeah,
died?
you didn't know?
No. I was
Oh, fucking
I,
hell,
I never
man.
watched a lot of
Yeah,
his content. I watched a little bit here and there, but I just didn't know. Yeah.
no. Was it pancreatic cancer? It
Wow.
was might have been bowel cancer. Yeah, he thought it was in remission a couple of times, and then it just came back, and yeah,
Geez, you know
it
what
was
we
so
should
sad.
support instead for a Kerbal Polar Expedition? Too.
Bowel cancer, maybe research
Just
into bowel cancer.
cancer in general, maybe? I don't
Just
know.
cancer in general,
I
yeah.
don't know.
Well, no, that's one of the things I said in the video was that like we all know someone, and so like cancer just needs to fucking die. You said this at the time of KPE, or at least in one of the following streams related, and I was too like, I don't want swearing on my stream, but fuck cancer, man. Like, God, you guys didn't know this?
Yeah, that
Yeah,
was like
he's
my
he's been
pitch
dead for a
was
while.
we should just call it fuck cancer.
Yeah,
And then I
that
looked
was
it up and
exactly your
found out, yeah,
pitch,
people
and
print T-shirts and wear hats and stuff that just say "fuck
yeah.
cancer" on it, and it's like, if you're gonna, I mean, it's either Nazis or cancer. It's the only time when it's really 1,000% of
It
nobody's
is,
gonna
and it is
disagree,
appropriate.
except for
Yeah,
the Nazis who no one cares about, or the cancer who also no one cares about.
yeah. Oh man, God, I'm getting emotional just remembering it. It's really weird. So, in terms of like talking about YouTube and stuff, I really modeled myself after Total Biscuit in the early days. My British announcer voice is his. Talk about being original. Like I just straight up stole that. I wanted to be him, and you don't tend to form kind of. Actually, maybe that isn't true. I was going to say you don't tend to form like strong kind of I care for this person, for like personalities, or at least I don't historically. But yeah, Toto Biscuit was like the first person I really felt, yeah, just grief over. Um, he really shaped like a lot of what I saw my YouTube persona as being, and so it was like a part of me died. Um,
Is there anyone
yeah,
else, or was it mainly him as inspiration for YouTubing? Because, like I said, mine was literally you and Nerd Cubed, Dan
I
Arte.
think it does tend to be quite a limited number, doesn't it? At the time, I think it was
Like,
him.
I mean, there were a lot of
I
people
can't
who I
think of
was
anyone else
watching,
immediately.
but
Yeah,
of the people
yeah,
who
no,
I felt
definitely in terms
really
of
like,
actual like
yeah, guided
impact.
my, yeah, what I was
Mm,
going to do.
yeah. Oh, now I'm all sad. Um,
See, now
they
look,
did us.
this is how it works. See, we came in, we were both like tired from a day. We were both like just it felt like a lazy day kind of thing. We got talking about this stuff and just like and then we just and it felt really good and chat's moving and you guys are donating like thank you so much for that and it just like felt like energizing and then I bring up oh Total Biscuit died and it's like
Yeah. Uh, but yes, I don't know. I don't know what to say now.
how
How
do you
long have we got?
recover
We've
from
got 20
that?
minutes left on this to just grieve. Yeah.
Who
But
else has died?
KP4
Let's talk some more about dark. No, I'm kidding.
could just it can be quite therapeutic and it can feel quite nice to just grieve, can't it? But yeah, I just want to say about KP4 on the whole note of charities and YouTubers and so on and so forth. There's a lot of decisions to be made. I want to properly discuss this at some point. So, like I said to Born during the P break, maybe that can be a topic for a whole stream another time to give it the kind of space it deserves. And thank you very much for the bit, CCL GMG. Awesome stuff. Just need that Harvin porn emoji now.
And we
How
can
do we
we
get
can
that?
have yeah we can
Is that
have
a
an
thing we can have?
emote because now we're affiliates. We get one. So, in fact,
Fuck yeah.
Harvey, you've kind of been the gift master so far. Are you you got any ideas? We've actually
For a
got a number
gift.
of gifts already made. Well, I mean, Emoji Wow, stuff like that. But
Oh, right.
mm.
Um, I mean, I would say like a Daryl thing, but I feel like we've got too much Daryl stuff for the branding already. I don't know.
We'll figure it out. We'll definitely get you a
Yeah.
Harvin Pawn something you can use. I don't really know how emojis work, but something you can use. I note that I watched Cheese05 for his speed running. Cheese of the Super Mario 64 thing, and he's gay, and he has somehow, I don't know if it's just like something that's out there or if it's his emotes or something, but dicks is like rainbow. The word dicks in chat is just friggin' brilliant. Oh, you can use emotes other places. Why there are the Ronin
Yeah.
pawns in chat. Thank you. But yeah, we'll come up with something, on the level of dicks that you can use around play.
Yeah, just a symbol that just represents like something inside about Harvard Porn, and just spread it everywhere. But make it. I like the idea of making it. It hadn't even occurred to me, but we could make it something that's actually more useful than just the Harvard Porn logo. That's all I thought that was going to be. And so when you were like, "Hey, you got any ideas for that?" Ideas? What? What do you mean? Are we just gonna do logo? Yeah. So it'd be cool if yeah, we should think about that. Come up with something.
Ooh, I kind of like that, Kidda Bob. Harvard Pawn landing on the desk and planting a flag. Something around planting a flag I actually don't hate.
Hmm.
What else do we
Yeah.
have in the talking notes here for YouTube? Because I got a lot of stuff and it could go really dark here.
I think
But
monetization was a big kind of lead
yeah,
on.
generally speaking, okay, so
Um,
I've done a number of videos actually on monetization specifically, trying to like get the information out there about how this actually works. And in the world of YouTube's, circa at least like mid 2016, and I doubt much has changed. Um, what you should know if you're trying to make money off of ad revenues from YouTube is you probably shouldn't be doing that,
yeah.
unless you're getting the 100,000 and million view count, that kind of thing. Then you might be interested. But outside of that, the general CPM, or rather, so the way it works is they've got CPMs, which is ads distributed per thousand. Which, why is it CPM? We may never know. I don't know why CPM is a thing, but it's ads distributed per
I can't remember
thousand
what
is
it
how they
stands
measure it.
for.
And
Yeah.
I came up with the idea of RPM, which is something else. The idea was something that's actually measurable by you as a YouTuber, which is view count. So, or maybe it's RPV. Yeah, I think that's what I said, RPV. So, revenue per view.
Per view. Yeah.
And the idea was, take into account the metrics of some people click and then they click skip ad and you don't get paid for it. And some people have an ad blocker and all that stuff. At the end of the day, based on the view count of a video, how much money do I expect to make off that video? And per view, per individual click, per individual view that gets counted, that number is 0.02%, or 2 cents rather. So not a full cent, 0.02 cents. If I recall
It
correctly.
varies depending on
It
exactly what
varies,
adverts you get, but
but my
over
generalized
average
math
generally.
averaged
Yeah.
over the course of like my YouTube career, because I believe I actually did like the math on my videos and stuff like that to try and figure out what is it realistically. And it very much depends on like what types of videos you're making. If you're making videos about technology, you tend to get a higher RPV. Certain categories get more money based on what they're doing, but in the gaming category and just generally across YouTube, it's about 2 to 3 hundredths of a penny per view, I believe, is what you earn off of that. So bear that in mind when you're deciding, I want to be a YouTuber, and when you're trying to figure out how you're going to get paid as a YouTuber. Today, right here, right now, on the Harvard Pawn channel, this is the first show where we've been monetized, where we have been an affiliate. Thanks very much to Harv logging on several days and filling the quota for how many times we had to live stream in a month in order to become affiliates. We have made almost the same amount in this live stream as people have dedicated to donate us monthly on Patreon right now. And thank you so much to the people who are supporting us on patreon.com/slash
Yeah, big shout out.
Harvenpawn. Support today. But my point being that, like, YouTube with its ad revenues is almost certainly not going to pay your bills. There's a reason why, we've got my one inspiration sitting next to me here, which, by the way, look how I do business, huh? I'm inspired by someone. A couple of years later, I'm fucking working with him. The the other
Pretty
inspiration that I
epic
have,
arc for you.
yeah, anything to not be boring. My other inspiration is Dan Hardcastle of Nerd Cubed, and he is now doing like one proper video a week. He just started up like an extra series, but generally he's been doing one proper video a week on YouTube because he's spending all his time on Twitch. Why is he spending all his time on Twitch? Because Twitch has enabled community support in a way that YouTube kind of tried to latch onto after Twitch was already doing it well, and kind of, oh, let's duplicate those systems. But Twitch nailed it in a way that made it just ridiculous to be a YouTuber exclusively. Because you're not going to make that money in ad rev support. You're not going to make that money through Super Chat on YouTube. Twitch allows you guys to support us in a way that we can support ourselves through it. So thank you for your donations and your subscriptions.
Oh yeah, and this is a great way to tie everything together. By the way, we spent most of this stream talking and kind of despairing over metrics of success and view counts and subscribers and all that bollocks, and then brought it round to, hey, you should be making what you love and kind of chasing, not even chasing, but doing justice to that inspiration that you find where you find it, not making it about you. And that kind of thing does not work in the YouTube ad revenue driven system of being like a creator and trying to make this your creative, full-time job as it is for you. What does work, because you're sitting here right now with a roof above your head, is engaging the very very small is not an insult, but the smaller audience, but engaging them to that level. and having an actual community. I swear you have more of a community than I have. And like, look at the difference in subscriber count. Oh, my internet's just, you can still hear me? All right.
Yeah, you're fine. You're with me.
Yeah. So Twitch and Patreon and building these communities with the systems for direct support. If you're making the content that you want to be making and you don't get the views as a result, whoa, 5,000 bits plus 500 bonus. I don't know what that means, but awesome work. Thank you very much, ECLGMG. Cool stuff.
Jermazy, that's $50 worth of bits. Holy shit.
That's insane.
Plus 5 is $55.
I don't know what conversion is. That's $50 worth of bits? Fuck. We make that in a month from Patreon. This is crazy. We don't even make that in a month from Patreon. So trying to do ad revenue is pointless, and just this is proof that making what you want to be making and engaging the fewer people to a greater degree is a better way to do your creative activity.
And just your life in general. Actually, it makes me think of, so I watch BigClive.com on YouTube. Have you ever heard of Big Clive, Harv? I've mentioned it probably once, but other than that. So Big Clive does electrical engineering stuff, and he's very often taking apart some little piece of tat that he found from a dollar store or something on the Isle of Man. And he'll be taking apart like LEDs and lights and stuff, and then rewiring them and figuring out ways to make his own stuff.
Yeah, you mentioned him, yeah.
And his entire style, he's got like, he hangs his cell phone over the top of the workbench, and then just his hands, and he's in there, and it's very Ashens, who I also watch, style, where it's just basically hands and a voice, and he's doing the work and he's zooming in and stuff. But like the whole thing is so laid back and so just, this is what I'm doing. This is what I'd be doing anyway because I enjoy this. You know, I'd be down here in my basement at 2 a.m. drinking a libation while soldering on some little crap LEDs. I'd be here whether I was, you know, showing it to you or not. And that is sort of precisely why I watch, because it's so real and laid back, and it's just like you're there, you're with him, he knows what he's talking about, he does the thing. Sometimes it explodes, very rarely it explodes. He sort of plays it up that it'll explode more often than it does. But
Yeah.
very rarely it goes wrong. Most of the time he's just really good at what he does, and it's like it's chill and it's real, and he engages the people in his audience, and he's got like a link that says buy me a coffee and it goes to a PayPal account kind of thing. And that's how, you know, that's what makes it, that's how he gets paid for doing it. But he still works as an electrician and all that kind of stuff, and you just like, you have the whole smell and sense that he's doing this because he'd be doing it anyway, and why not bring you along, as opposed to I'm doing this because I desperately need you to love me and watch my content and I need the money. You know, that's not there when you're watching Big Clive, and that's what I'm looking for. God, so like often in the day I see an ad for something or tune into something, and you just feel the desperation, even if it's not there in like the delivery, it's just there in the content and the premise of
Yeah,
it. Like,
formatting,
this was
yeah.
made for just to grind the algorithm's gears, to really lubricate them and slick them up, and then you'll send all of the people this way, and it's so depressing. Excellent. Jermacia just subscribed. Excellent. Thank you. That might be our first subscriber. It hasn't played yet today. Jermacia, our first subscriber.
Definitely.
Thank you so much. Jesus, God, you
Awesome.
dropped like, well, what would that be? That'd be over $70 on us today. Keep going, lad.
Yes, yes, more, please, more, please. That's awesome. Thank you, man.
But this is like the main point about this too. I mean, this isn't the main point about what I've been talking about, but to come back to this is, if you are interested in being an entertainer on YouTube, on Twitch, like, one, do what you want to do. Be doing what you want to be doing, because if success happens to fall out of the sky, you don't want to be caught doing something that you thought would work well, and now you're stuck doing that forever, or else the audience will go away. And also, like, don't look to the advertisers, don't gear your content to the advertisers, don't even try and play along with YouTube's like, this is ad friendly, this isn't ad friendly, we won't monetize this system. You're just gonna end up being another clickbaity channel
And
that
it just limits your creative capacity. We turned ads completely off for all of the VODs that I've been uploading to the channel. Just, we didn't want to play that game. Like, yeah, I agree.
don't play the game, don't get caught by it, because it's designed for that. And as a matter of fact, like, I have almost exclusively nice things to say about like the Kerbal Media Group that we were both in. But the concept of media groups in games, there's so many people out there, small YouTubers, who are trying to, like, they want to be there where you're in the media group and you're part of the in crowd. And there are so many marketing people who are so ready and willing to latch in and just sink their claws into you and make you feel like you're part of something on the inside, in order to make you a quantified, like, usable marketing tool of theirs. And just be very aware of that and be careful about that, because it feels really good, and it felt really good when the media group approached me, KSP Media Group. It was like, oh, really? You like my stuff enough, you're going to bring me in? And then I log in and like Harv and Elysium are there. And I'm, holy crap, these are the boys you want me to run with? All right.
I've met my inspiration.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
It feels really good, but it's like there are some of them who are using that. And in fact, I want to say most of them that are using that in order to turn you into something that they know that they have some level of control over, so that they can get you to produce content that continues to be in the vein that's helping them to market whatever it is that they're marketing that day. And when you get into a situation where you have that closer relationship with a developer or a marketer or a publisher on behalf of a certain game, it's going to be that much harder for you internally to find the courage and the strength to say, you know, I really don't like what they did with the latest update. This really sucks. That doesn't work. This is, what they need to do is this, that, and the other thing. And you get these really tangled lines of like intent and tangled lines of genuineness, because you want to say something that you feel is like what you should be saying to your audience because they're here and we know what's going on here. But at the same time, you've got these relationships with these professionals in this industry who have let you into their private little club, and you feel so happy to be there. If you are ever suffering from the happy just to be there effect, you need to like just step back and go, I'm here. I need to just keep being me. Don't.
Yeah, and also like you're not here out of the goodness of their hearts. They're getting something out of it. So yeah, don't be too awestruck and feel too honored in any situation like that, really. Like, I mean, humble, don't get your ego up, but just don't let it blind you to who you want to be.
Yeah, because it can very easily stifle what you just generally feel and what you want to say. And things started to get dirty with me in Kerbal Space Program there toward the end, and mainly it was on my side with Kerbal Space Program that I produced some videos that I thought, like, you guys should really be, like, this is a great video that I just produced. You should sponsor this as, like, your weekly video that usually gets over 100,000 views. This is definitely, people have been waiting in my community to see this for years. I finally produced it. Here it is. So you're going to do that, right? And they were like, yeah, no, we don't think so. And I'm like, you sons of bitches! How much I have done for you! And I realized at that point where, like myself just like, when I realized that I was making demands of them based on our relationship, I was like, we've gotten too close. This isn't how this is supposed to work.
This is not healthy.
I need to withdraw.
And that relationship is what I had with my viewers. I mean, they might not have known it, but it was like, all right, I spend so much time working on this, and I know it's exactly like it's really good, and it's the kind of stuff that you want, and here you go. Why aren't you watching it after all the work I put in? Yeah, awful place to be.
Yeah, the best advice is just to be doing what you'd be doing anyway. Be doing what you enjoy, and then if people show up to watch it, more's the better. If people start to support you with their cheers and their subs and whatnot, thank you very much again, then more's the better. But, regardless, like, this is my recommendation as well to just kids in general, because, as a aging human being.
We've all been there.
I've spoken to a number of younger people who are where I have been, who are, making decisions about university and college and, what I think I want to do for a living, who often report, well, I've heard this explicitly, I would like to be like a veterinarian's assistant. And I was like, wow, what a specific thing to say that you want to be. You don't want to be a veterinarian, you want to be a veterinarian's assistant. Like this woman had already like thought about, I don't really want all of that training, all that thing. I'm good with animals. I like animals. I know that I can help a doctor, but I don't want to be a doctor. I want to be a veterinarian's assistant. And the next thing that she followed up with immediately was, I want to be a veterinarian's assistant, but I'm going into nursing, which is, close to that field, I guess. But it was clear from the conversation that wasn't her goal. It wasn't that I'm trying to get closer to what I want to do. It was that I have checked the statistics, I have read the reports, and the reports say that there is always work for nurses. And it's like, this is your life. This is the only one that you're going to get in this husk anyway. What you choose to do is what you will be doing for this life. You can
Well,
choose to be
yeah.
financially secure by doing what is statistically most likely, or you can choose to be found doing what you enjoy and what you wanted to do on the day of your death. The day of your death is coming. Let's just make it really happy, Harv. Let's make this really
I
the
wanted to
day of your death is
yeah,
coming.
I'm gonna just counter what you're saying. I agree. I agree with the premise. In terms of a lighter delivery, also bear in mind that
You're
you're
going
not
to die.
necessarily tying yourself in at this age. If we're talking about like university students, like if you are worried to go for a particular thing because you don't think it might not financially work out, you've you're not shooting yourself in the foot as much as you might imagine. Like you can try it and try and go down it. And if it doesn't work for you, or your interests change, or it's not bringing in the money you kind of need to support the lifestyle you like, you have the time. There are opportunities coming. It's not like I gotta choose now, so I better choose economically. Like you can make those kind of concessions as you go. So don't so start off with what you are most interested and love the most. Don't start from the kind of pessimistic, okay, I need money, I gotta live. Like start in the better place and like yeah.
Yeah, well, you're young and you've got that energy. Be bold, be, courageous, and say, well, this is what I want to be and this is what I'm going to go for. And then be also willing to find out later that, oh, I was wrong about that, because that's likely
Yeah.
to happen. Oh, that, it sounded really good from the outside. On the inside, this sucks.
Mm.
So don't like identify with anything that you're going to do, but please, for the love of God, do not sacrifice your life and the better part of your years, and when you still have that opportunity to decide like a direction to go in, don't choose the one that's just playing the odds. Life is not a casino. It is, but it's not a it's I just don't
Your
want to
life can
see.
be
I
what you
just
want it to be.
Yeah,
Don't.
and you do have time. You
Yeah.
absolutely have time. Go after your dreams, and if your dreams don't work out and they keep not working out, and you don't have the wherewithal to stick next to your dreams that aren't working out, then there are other options. But don't start from the foot of, all right, I'm going to sell out early and get ahead. I just Maybe it works.
Yeah.
I've never tried it. I got to be honest with you, but I see so many people
I
trying
don't
it.
I don't see them being any happier. And I think you've got to really try and be true to what you love, because your goal should be to be happy with, to be happy. I mean, it's quite generic, but to feel fulfilled is maybe the better way. To
Yeah.
do to pursue that which fulfills you. Yeah, go game for that. And I think that is quite a good, wholesome, positive message to wrap up this good, wholesome, positive stream with. Thank you very much for watching, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you to everyone who has cheered and subscribed and followed and smashed the like button and ring the bell.
There is There is one more thing, though, on this wholesome and positive live stream that we want to go out on, just to sort of bring home the wholesomeness and the positivity and the just joy of life. And that is, finally, after a very long time, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, today, we have accomplished the ultimate goal. The opus magnum is in from the architect of, I don't know, I'm mixing metaphors here. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, the wholesome and uplifting conclusion: Harv returns to KSP. Thank you for tuning in to the Harv and Pawn Show. Please support us if you're interested in either here on Twitch, as you have done today very much with your subscriptions and your donations. Thank you so much to Gervasian, Atrix, who I don't know how to, Atrixica, and Hologram One. Thank you so much for your donations today on our first day of being affiliates. You can also support us on a monthly basis at patreon.com/harvinpawn. And what's the other thing, Harvey? I forget.
Paypal.me/harvinpawn if you just want to give a one-off tip and don't want to tie yourself in. Alternatively, bits are now the way you can do those one-off tips. So again, Thank you
Yeah,
so much.
we don't know why
This has
that
been
exists now. This
I
has been
guess
a great
alternative
live
usually
stream.
don't
I
have.
really enjoyed this. This was good.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that you
This
guys
is how.
enjoyed the
Yeah.
commentary and just watching chat and stuff. You've all entertained me today, and that's what really this is about.
Yeah. And porn, you've entertained me. I mean, you always entertain me just with your general pornness. But yeah, I feel like this live stream in particular has just been a great, cool experience. And cheers to many more. Would you share some mug with me?
My name is not Miranda, but I will do. Just try and reach that out and just all right. There's a bit of a gap in space. You know what? That's fine.
Yeah.
We'll see you next time, everybody, which will be this Wednesday at 9 p.m. in the UK, 4 p.m. Eastern. I am the Ronan Pawn. He is the Harvin Pawn. Out.
Have porn, have porn, have and porn and 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 have and porn. Have and porn.
And we are clear. Good job, I guess. I wasn't really watching.